Hello, I'm Brian Fox. Welcome to I Hate Rock Music. And I've been on kind of a Larry Wallace bender, and this is another video about Larry Wallace. And in this case of Great Lost Rock Albums I Dream About, there is actually a great lost album that I am dreaming about, and that's the Larry Wallace solo album that he made in 1978 for Stiff Records. And to this day, it's still never been released. And of course, after the Pink Fairies, Kings of Oblivion, and Motorhead in 1975, Larry Walsh started to be quite a writer, and he cranked out a lot of self-penned tunes. And the Larry Wallace 1978 album is a great example. Um, there's let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 songs originals that he recorded for his solo album. A few of them we heard earlier versions of. Police Card on Parole were released as a Larry Walsh single in 1977. And they also do a cover of Rhapsody in Blue, the jazz classic. I'd be really curious to hear that. And then only one song has, as far as I've been able to find out, has actually managed to sneak out that's actually from the Larry Wallace album on Stiff, and that's a song called "I Can't See What It's Got to Do with Me," and it's great. It's really recorded really well, and he's got a top-notch band, and that's one of the reasons why I'm still salivating over the idea that someday, I don't know how long they're going to wait, if ever, to release the Larry Wallace solo album. Of course, Larry Wallace has passed on, and Stiff Records is no more, and I just don't see any reason why this album should sit in the can. And a lot of these songs Larry Wallace recorded later in '82 and moving forward. And so we have versions of some of the songs on this record. And I'll post all of this stuff below. I'm going to post all the updated versions of the Larry Wallace songs that are on this record because they're pretty good. But once again, I go back to the fact that he had an incredible band on this record, and it definitely would be one of the best things he's done besides the Pink Fairies, Kings of Oblivion. And I keep talking about the band. The band was Larry Wallace on guitar and vocals, Deke Leonard, the legendary guitarist from the Welsh band Man. It's so interesting that they teamed up for this record in 1978, and then Big George Webley on bass, who was a session bass player and ended up being very successful doing soundtracks and working for EMI. And so, as you can tell from the one song that's been released, he was definitely a step up from a lot of bassists that Larry Wallace had played with before. And then the drummer Pete Thomas. So Pete Thomas was a drummer on the unreleased Larry Wallace 1978 album, and he's most noted for playing with Elvis Costello. He was in Elvis Costello and the Attractions, also originally on Stiff Records, and ended up in Squeeze as well. So Larry Wallace's first solo single. So when Larry Wallace hooked up with Stiff, the second single Stiff Records ever released was the um, Pink Fairies reunion single, Between the Lines and Spoiling for a Fight. And he had a great band on that, of course, because it was the Pink Fairies. It was Duncan Sanderson and Russell Hunter, with the addition of Martin Stone on guitar, who'd played with Mighty Baby. And so he had a killer lineup for that single. And then he released a solo single in 1977, Police Card on Parole. And on that record, he was backed up by members of Eddie and the Hot Rods. And so I find it fascinating that he's got those two singles and then this album, and he has a different band for each one. You'd think he would have had some continuity playing with the same musicians, but he had a completely different band for those two singles in this album. And just for the fact that he has such an incredible lineup of Deke Leonard, George Wemley, and Pete Thomas on this unreleased '78 album, it's definitely a lost album that actually exists. that I am dying to hear, as are most Larry Wallace fans. And there's been a lot of articles written about this album. And as I mentioned, the fact that this one song, "I Can't See What It's Got to Do with Me," has been released, it really shows us how great this album is. And once again, I'll reiterate, what the fuck is holding it up? We're not getting any younger. I could croak before this album ever came out, and that'd be a shame. But anyway, Larry Wallace, as it turns out, um, even though a fair amount of stuff he worked on and recorded um, hasn't been released, starting with Kings of Oblivion and the Pink Fairies, he ended up putting out a lot of material and writing a lot of songs. And of course, now he's passed on, so it's over. But Larry Wallace, the 1978 Stiff album, still sitting in the vaults. I'm Brian Fox. Thanks for watching I Hate Rock Music.